Dragon Ball Xenoverse is, without a doubt, one of the best Dragon Ball Z games ever, and the best Dragon Ball Z game we've gotten in quite some time. However, a lot of fans have been wondering, since the game came out, does Dragon Ball Xenoverse have any kind of relevance whatsoever on the Dragon Ball storyline, or is it a part of Dragon Ball Canon? Well, the canon argument, which has been one of the most talked about talking points in Dragon Ball on the internet amongst the fan base, is quite complicated, even though at the end of the day it really is quite simple. Pick whatever you want, alright? Let's not even fight over this. But there's been so many debates about this Dragon Ball canon. I may do a video on it in the future, but as of right now, the debates are ongoing and may never end, no matter how many views I get on that video. So that's neither here nor there. The question is, though, Dragon Ball Xenoverse introduces a number of new concepts and new characters like Mira. Well, really, here's the thing that you may not know. Mira and Towa were already in previous Dragon Ball games. They were already in other games. Mira and Towa were actually in Dragon Ball Online first. And for those who don't know, Dragon Ball Online was a Korean MMORPG which took place decades, in fact 200 years after the end of Dragon Ball Z. And according to Akira Toriyama, because he did work on this game, the events of Dragon Ball Online are canon according to Toriyama. Therefore, and again, that is according to Toriyama, therefore Dragon Ball Online is realistically the only Dragon Ball game that is canon, because he said it, and that's if you take his word as gospel. Dragon Ball Online and the events in it did happen, therefore Mira and Towa are indeed canon characters to the Dragon Ball universe. However, the game Dragon Ball Xenoverse, even though they utilize Mira and Towa in a much, much better way for the game, that does not mean that the game itself is canon. Demon God Demigra, I feel, is a great villain. I feel is a great idea and a great concept for a villain. However, once again, that is not explored anywhere in Dragon Ball Online or anywhere else in the Dragon Ball universe. So, is Xenoverse canon? Did the events of Xenoverse actually happen? And the answer is no. And there's two reasons why. Number one, even though Mira and Towa were in Dragon Ball Online, and Toriyama said that is legit, Mira and Towa's appearances in Dragon Ball Xenoverse do not necessarily reflect Toriyama's vision of Mira and Towa. Most of the Dragon Ball Z cast appears in the Dragon Ball Z movies, and we know for a fact that those are non-canon to the manga canon. So again, just because you have a character in one place and in another, and they're canon in one, does not necessarily mean that they're canon in both. However, the main reason I feel as to why Dragon Ball Xenoverse cannot be canon is because it is a complete and utter contradiction of the themes and the basis of time travel in the Dragon Ball Z universe. The way that time travel works in Dragon Ball Xenoverse is that in the game, of course, if you played it, you have to go back in time and revisit events with future Trunks as sort of your guide, so to speak. You have to revisit events from the series that have been altered. The problem with that is that time travel in Dragon Ball Z, which to many people is very complicated, but I'll break it down like this. Time travel in Dragon Ball Z does not work the same way. There are two different theories on time travel when used in fiction. Number one is the Back to the Future theory, which is you can go back in time, you can change the past, and whatever you change will affect the future. The same thing has been done in films like Terminator and in films like The Butterfly Effect especially. That's one method of time travel. The other theory of time travel is the Stephen W. Hawking theory of time travel, and not really time travel, more so physics, in that he believes that every decision that is made by every person creates an alternate universe, an alternate timeline. So there are literally billions and billions of alternate universes out there, and in the Dragon Ball Z tone or version of this, when Trunks goes back in time, he creates a new timeline. He basically goes, whenever anybody, Cell 2, when they go back in time to the past, they create a new timeline. So in the video game, it's never actually said that a new timeline is created whatsoever. In fact, we're supposed to believe that the timeline is the same one. It's just that you have to stop certain things from happening. So no, it's not the same concept of time travel. And yes, even though Toriyama himself has contradicted himself and had several inconsistencies in his story, this to me is such a large inconsistency, in addition to the fact that he himself has not said that the game is canon. Therefore, if you ask me, the game, a great story, and in my opinion, the best Dragon Ball game in a long time, but there's nothing in the game that points to it being canon. However, again, like I said in the past, Mira and Towa as characters are indeed part of canon according to Toriyama. Will he change his mind on that? Will he later on say no? We don't know. But as of the recording of this video, Dragon Ball Heroes is canon, even though I guarantee you less than 5% of people watching this video ever played the game, because it's only in Korea. Japan didn't even get this game from what I understand. So what can you do? Now, will Mira and Towa appear in Dragon Ball Super? I think it's a possibility. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's a possibility. But to answer the question, Dragon Ball Xenoverse is not canon. And but again, just because something is not canon does not mean that you cannot enjoy it. And it's a great game no matter what. Subscribe, comment, spread the word, and I'll catch y'all down the road.